we can submit data to the database without actually refreshing the web page. So it actually makes your design clean, makes it look professional. So as you can see, you can also do some kind of validation. So just like you can see here. So let me remove this text here in the message box and I click submit. So you see that processing and it comes back to say I should enter message. So if I enter it and I click on, you can see processing, please wait. See that after it has submitted it or sent it, it gave me a report. Without now I'm not seeing the page I'm not seeing the input form, and you see that the information or the data was submitted into the database. So it is here and it's clean, and we did not leave the web page. For example, if you look at this, let me enter a new record. So if I enter a record here on the email, enter the email address, then enter the name of the user, then enter a message. So once I click on submit here, so what you are going to see is that look at the file name. So it will not change. The though it's connecting to a different page, look at that. So you see that it submits it without really showing me, taking me to another page. And you see that it gives me the report. And if you check the database, now you see that it is deposited in the database. Look at that. Okay, so that's what we're going to see how to do in this video. We're going to learn how to do this in this video. So let's get right into it. Okay, first we need to create the database and the corresponding table. So log into your the database environment, as you can see. So we type the database creation syntax or code. They will not do that of the table. So put the various parameter there, as you can see. So once we have it this way, so the name of the table is feedback underscore table. So the various parameters or the various column names are here. So as you can see here, let me just fast forward this. So once you have it created like this, we execute it. Once you execute it, it looks like this. So there's nothing in the database table for now. So these things will be entered. So let me just check it for the sake of emphasis. So now say select start from the database table name. Okay, so here now see the various columns right there. Okay, so this we are going to use the front end to interact with. Next is designing the UI for this project. So first we go to where we have our PHP installed, go to the XAMPP folder, then go to htdocs, then we create a folder. I have insert data as a folder that I'm using. So I'll create the various folders that will hold the various codes. We create a CSS folder, JS folder, and images folder like this. So once you have done this, then we open our code editor. So I'm using VS Code. So I need to bring in that project into this environment, VS Code. So click on File, then open a folder, then look for the folder you created earlier. In my case is insert underscore data. So once I do that, it brings the entire project into this, environment. So you can see that everything is empty apart from the folders. So create a file now called index.php. So index.php is created. Then if you look at the code, the directory, you can see that inside that folder, you can see that index.php is there. So create another file called insert.php. Okay, so this one will be the one to connect to the database and send the information there. Okay, so you see that there's nothing here for now. So, but we need to now design the interface. So put the boilerplate, then we just make changes to the title. Okay, so after we have done that, so the next thing we need to do is work on the way we want it to look like. So if you check it and see that reflects there, if I refresh, so it reflects on the address bar there. All right, so then the next thing we need to do is to put the various these are the images that we are going to be using for this project. All right, so then we need to now link to the one of the images, which is the icon that will show on the browser address bar right there. It's a kind of branding your page sort of. So if you look at it now, if I refresh, see that icon shows up there. Okay, so then the next we need to do is to create the various so these are the folder, I mean these are the files, that is the images files. So the next thing we need to do is to create the various styles. So we have a style, we have style.css, which is going to be used to style it, to style the design. Okay, so let's link to that style.css. Okay, so we link to that to the style.css, which resides within CSS folder. So next, what we need to do is to create a JavaScript file. Okay, so right click on the JS folder and click on new file, then type script.js. So this one will not be the one to be used for the JavaScript. The JavaScript code will be within that environment. All right, so the next we need to do is to link to that same JavaScript that we just created. Okay, so put the script there, then we go to JavaScript. JavaScript file. Okay, so that's what we're doing in line 8. So we have to put the file there so that the page will load first before the JavaScript will be loaded. Otherwise, there'll be an error. Or we'll put the code, the link at the bottom of the page. All right, so now we'll create the form. So the form is going to be linked to insert.php. So put the input feed there, the input feeds. Okay, so this is the basic HTML that we have here. All right, so this is basic HTML that we have there. The email, ID, full name, then message. That's what we have. Then we have the submit button. All right, so underneath the submit button, so and the form, outside of the form actually, so we need to have a paragraph there. So that paragraph will be given a class of MSG. So that is what we're showing the messages, or the message, that's the progress report and all those kind of things. Okay, that's what it's going to be shown. All right, so now that we have done this, I think that settles this HTML aspect. Okay, so that settles this aspect. So the whole thing is within the feed set and the form, and it ends here. So that's the HTML. So look at it carefully, just in case you want to use the parameters I've used. All right, so this is what we have so far. So that's how it looks. So the name and the submit button. So that's how it looks. So if you check it out now, nothing to really show. It's bare bone, doesn't look nice. So we're going to use the CSS to work around. So this is how it looks for now. So we use CSS to style it, to make it look the way we want. So I'll just paste this CSS here, but this particular exercise is not about CSS per se, but that inserting to this database without really refreshing the page. All right, so now if I refresh it, so that it gives me the proper look of what we want. This was written beforehand, so as you can see, so you just follow it as I'm scrolling down, so you can follow it and just type it. It's not too long. It's not that much for the kind of thing we are working on. So they see the feed set code. They now see the feed set and the divs that is within it. All right, so just look at it carefully and follow it like this, and it will be, you will not miss it if you do it, if you follow it carefully and do what I have done here so far. Okay, so this is what we have regarding the CSS. All right, so okay, so this is actually what we have. And I could provide this, I don't know, so if it is requested for that, I could just give you a link to where we can download the CSS code. So this is how it looks in terms of the UI. Okay, so next is working on the PHP version, PHP aspect of the code. All right, so we'll get to that place, then we enter the PHP open tag and close it. Then we define the various variables. These are coming from the front end. So you have seen, as you can see here, so you see the email, full name, then message here. So they are coming from here, and they are all from a post form, or a form that has the method post. All right, so now that we have this one, so next thing to do, just to be sure that what we are doing is correct, so let's echo, let's just display email that will enter. So let's display it. So if you look at it and see that it shows up there. Now, if you look at it carefully, see that it opens insert.php. So this will not happen when we are done. It will not display this page when we are done working, implementing the entire thing. So it's going to stay on that same page while connecting to the server. All right, so the next thing we need to do, we'll do basic validation here. So if the full name is empty, that is, if the user does not enter the name, then it should tell the user to enter name. The same thing then you have to add this exit function, otherwise it will pass, or except you use else statement. All right, so we'll do the same thing for email, for name and that of message. All right, so after we have done that, if that passes through, then we'll connect to the database. I already created a tutorial on how to connect to the database using various functions or using various styles. So I'll link it in the description of this video. All right, so now then we test it. Now that we have connected to the database, then we need to check whether the database has been connected to. So you can see the various variables that we have created. That's the database we created earlier. Okay, so these are the way to the various inputs there. That is the DSN, the username, and the password. Then the set attribute, PDO, attribute default fetch mode. That has to do with when you are fetching from database later. So let's just test our connection if it is well done or if it goes through. If it's connected, so we just display a value there. So if you click on submit now, so you see that it's connected. Also notice that it goes to the next page called insert.php. All right, so now what we'll do is that let's test it for you to be sure that it works, that it's not a fluke. If I click here now, I've just entered the wrong database, the database that does not exist. So you can see that it's displaying an error. So take it back, then put it where you are supposed to put it. So now that we have connected to the database and it's connected successfully, so let's write the insert statement. So insert statement, insert into the table name, so then the various parameters, so the email, full name, message. Then on the value, just copy this and paste it so that we can paste it here. Then we add full column to before the various column names there. So like as you can see, so just add it there. So these are placeholders. That is where you have column email, column full name, column message. Those are all placeholders. So then we now execute the statement. All right. So these are based on the email. Then the email that you see here is the parameter or the column name. Then the variable will now be what is coming from the user or from the front end, which is coming from here. So the same thing goes for the full name and the message. All right, so once you have done that, then we just want to check that if we see this affected row equals st, that is the variable, then row count. So that is to check the number of rows that was affected, that was inserted based on this input or based on this execution. So we're now going to say that if that affected row is greater than 1, greater than 0, so which means that it was inserted. Okay, so all right, so that's what I'm going to do. Otherwise, you may just see that it's inserted successfully, but yet nothing was inserted. So this one will actually tell you whether or not it was inserted or a record was inserted. All right, so once you have done that, so that pretty much settles that in terms of imputing records. So what we'll do now is to display a message to tell that a variable, the record was inserted. So we have a picture earlier, an icon, this check mark icon to show whether a record was inserted or not. So this sign that you're going to see in a moment, which was part of the part of the images I showed earlier. Okay, so it will also display the name of the user and the success message. All right, so I think everything looks okay so far. So let's check it out. Let's test it. So go back, then refresh the page, then fill the form, then submit. So you see that this giant sign right here. You can see the name, John Luke, your message was sent. All right, so let's check the database now. So if you check it, you see that the information that we enter that time is within the database. So click on SQL, then write the statement, then execute it. So once it is executed, so you see the result right here. So let's look at it. So I have tested one before, so you can see what I entered that time is here. Okay, so now to the main thing, the main reason why we are here. I know if you are probably watching this, probably you have inserted to the database before. Maybe the only difference is just this particular aspect of not refreshing the page when the information is or data is inserted. So now we'll go to JavaScript. So that is actually what makes it work. Okay, so make sure that you have the file there, or you place the link at the bottom of the form. All right, so we'll create a variable called btn submit. So that is what is going to trigger. I mean, that is the button that you're going to click on when you are done. So we use the regular document.query selector, then btn.btn, which is because we use the class. And then same thing we do for MSG, that is the message. Then we also create the variable for form input. So the MSG is this one that I talked about earlier. Okay, so then we'll come back here. So that MSG, yes, we'll come back here. So form inputs, that would be the various input within the form, the various input type like input, then text field or text area rather. So if you check here and I say on the insert, so here we need to give this one an ID. Otherwise, it will not work because that is what it's going to use to connect to the ID of this form. So we'll now say ID, we'll now use insert data form. So this one is what is going to link to here in line 3 where you have a insert data form there. That's hashtag insert data form. All right, so then in line 8, we use we say btn.add event listener. Note that we also have we are calling on line 5 where we have form data which talks to an object. We are creating an object of URL search params. So that is what is going to pick all the information that is within that form. All right, so we have the message will be display block, but it's actually not necessary. I'm going to remove this line later. Then what shows this rolling icon or rolling object or rolling image later is on line 10 where it connects to that. Why is loading that and why it's trying to process? I mean, why it's trying to save whatever it is you are doing as it tries to connect to the server, so that it will bring out that image. As you can see it here. So that is rolling there. So the reason for something like this is that if the network is somehow slow and it's taking time to execute what you have in the server, so it should be giving you that notification, that kind of assurance that don't worry, we are working on it, that kind of thing. All right, so that's the reason for that. So that's what you have in that area. So let me see. Okay, so I think everything is okay here. So the input there, this input I was talking about earlier, this text area. So that's what you have in where is it? So that's what you have in line 3. Okay, so that's what you have in line 3, and you also have, so it's going to loop through whatever input you have in that form. So that's why you have this form input dot for each. So whatever it is that is within there, to append them, more or less carry them together and dump in the server, or dump in the server that the code that is in the server. In this case, inside.php. Okay, so that's what we have here. I've done something related to this some time ago. Let me see if I can link it to this video. All right, so then we have all this other code there. So all that you have within here is just to help coordinate. For example, what you have in line 21 is going to say that href, which is that href. So that HROF, which is dot ready state. So if everything is okay, if it is 4 and the status is 200, which means that everything is okay, basically, that's what that means, then do something. All right, so that's what you have in that place. So let's see it now. So if I check here now, because I didn't enter anything there, so you see that it's showing me enter email ID, because I didn't enter email ID in my code, I mean in my form. So what happens is that there should be a way. So let's prevent the user, I mean, let's prevent the default behavior when it comes to submitting a form. So that's what you have in line 30, 31, 32. All right, so if I click on this one now, and I do this, and I click on enter the first name, I mean, enter email, full name, and enter the message. So you see that it shows it for me. I mean, it sends it to the database without issues. But the only problem is that it's going to see, look at that. So if you don't enter anything, it will dismiss the form, but not showing you the form back. You have to now click on refresh again for that to happen. So what we can do here is to make sure that we don't have that issue, that if it says that you have violated the process of entering something into it, so it should bring you back, I mean, it should display back the form to you, basically. So what we're going to do, we'll create a function here to tackle that. So we'll create a function. So within this function, we add a little CSS to help us to display back the form. So on line 9, you have display block, important. So the reason why it is important is that we want it to override whatever we have done to that form before, to that insert data form before. All right, so we create a function called show input form. So then it still doesn't work well. You know, when you create a form, you need to invoke that form. So we just invoke this form in the various validation area, like here. We just call that form here because we don't want to be repeating this CSS code. So that's why we just created a function for it. Then we can reuse it. Of course, that is one of the reasons for having functions. So, because having function help you to reuse certain aspect of your code instead of repeating something. All right, so if you test it now, look at that. See that it shows the form, and why is it showing you the error that you have made? Okay, as you can see. So, but if I enter it correctly and I click on submit, just like you can see here. So if I click on submit and I do this, so that it shows it correctly, and it looks nice. Okay, so if you check the database now, so you see that it is right there. Okay, so let's execute this SQL. So if you check it, so you see that it is right there. I hope this helps you. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. Like the video and share it. Thank you for watching. See you in another video.